What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew 2, and in this video I'm going to be showing you my favorite summit car in the entire game here. So I really never actually went over this because there is lots of summit cars in this game, whether that's in the street class or the lovely hypercar class here, like the lovely Carrera GT Green Flash Edition. I really do love this vehicle. Then we also have the Bugatti over here, which is the Emerald Storm, which is basically a green version of the Magma Edition. I know a lot of players do love these Bugattis. Who knows? We might end up seeing like a Super Sport 300 Summit vehicle in the future. But my overall favorite Summit car in the entire game, guys, is going to be the Chevrolet Corvette C7 ZR1 Long Range Edition. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've basically driven this car over every single other hypercar and way more than all of them. I have over 5,000 miles on this vehicle. This is actually the one that I normally drive when I farm races and all that. So I normally run the fame magnet set here when I'm running the Corvette on most of the races because I'm really going after money and followers most of the time. I also throw all my icon points on bucks as well to try to get as much money as I possibly can out of these races. Now, when I run the New York race, I'm getting over $600,000 every time I do it, which is honestly crazy. But you can definitely make a lot more money that way if you guys are running some of these other sets on your vehicle. I would also run the Loot Digger set as well on the Corvette, and I still had a really good time even though you don't have that extra boost of a Nitro Chemist set. But the Loot Digger set's going to be really good for getting extra parts and having them in your inventory, because we all know sometimes the RNG in this game is not going to be that good. You can also spend lots of money trying to get the affixed stats you actually might be going after, which can definitely be an issue depending on how your RNG is going to be. I also do want to mention, by the way, guys, I am planning on doing an updated video on the Muddy perk because I do feel like this needs another look. I'm planning on having two different Nitro Chemist sets, one with the Muddy perk and one without, and I want to see what the Muddy perk is actually going to do for the hypercars. I actually managed to get all the parts I needed in around 5 races, which really wasn't all that bad. Now, if you guys are running a Loot Digger set on many of your vehicles, you're obviously going to be getting a lot more parts, so that's definitely going to help a lot. Now, here's the build I'm running on my Corvette. I really don't know what it is, guys, but I really do love how the Long Range Edition is going to drive. Now, I'm sure many players are probably not using many of these cars anymore because of the Bugatti, which I really can't blame you on that. The Bugatti is just going to be that much faster on basically everything. But every other hypercar is still going to be very usable on most of the races. You're just not going to be able to do 330 miles an hour. For me, I actually had most of my records set with this vehicle running a Fame Magnet without a Nitro Chemist. And this car really never struggled in any way possible. Now, one of my favorite things about the Corvette is also going to be the way this car looks with this body kit. Now, zooming in on it here and taking a closer look, this car is going to have a special livery on it, which you guys can remove if you like to. It's also going to have the orange windshield on the front, which looks really cool when you're racing it. I love the body kit on this Corvette so much, way more than the regular one actually looks. I also found myself leaving the livery on this vehicle as well because I really like the overall detail of it, plus it made the car look awesome. I did end up removing the livery on the vehicle, which I'll show you guys how this actually looks right now. I'm personally not a big fan of it, but I have to admit one thing, the color of the vehicle also looks awesome. And if you guys wanted to add it back to the car, all you then have to do is head over back to this and pretty much buy it back onto the car. I really do think Ubisoft absolutely killed it with this vehicle, and I would like to say that this Corvette is going to show up in a summit again in the future, because I highly recommend everybody going after this vehicle if you have not. Even though the top speed on this vehicle might be a little bit lower, which I'm going to jump into that here in a second, the overall look and driving feeling of this Corvette, I really think it's well worth it. Not only does the Corvette look awesome, but this car can also perform really good as well. So one of my favorite things about the Corvette is the way this car is going to handle and the stability that it has. I did notice the Super Sport 300 did seem to struggle in some areas with the stability going around turns and or going over hills and all that, or going like over uneven roads. I noticed that car could be kind of annoying to use in those areas. The Corvette doesn't struggle in any way possible with any of that. I did notice the stability of this vehicle is going to be top tier, and because of that, it's going to remain one of my favorite hypercars as well to use. I really do love how this car drives. And I know many players might have been wondering, is the 296 mile an hour top speed the Corvette has going to affect this vehicle in a negative way? Because we all know the Bugattis all do over 300, and some of the other Koenigseggs can also hit like 305 and stuff like that as well. So this car might be a little bit slower in some of those ways, but I do think the overall speed when going around turns and coming out of them is going to give this car a huge advantage, and I really do find myself using it over all the other ones. Even on many of the longer hyper races, I still find myself picking the Corvette, even though the top speed might be a little bit slower. I did actually beat many of my times with this vehicle compared to many of the other cars, including the Bugattis, even though the Super Sport is going to be the new fastest car in the game. And I really do hope that car is not going to differ and make players not run some of these other vehicles now, because I do find many of the hypercars to be a lot of fun. Plus we also have the exhaust shooting out of the top back of the car, which I think looks awesome. Now the biggest thing I did notice about the Corvette when racing it all over the place, because I do have over 5,000 miles on this vehicle, is going to be the handling and stability of this car, which I did mention before. I've actually been testing out many of these summit cars in the hypercar class recently to really see which ones I like and which ones I really do not care for all that much. And I would definitely say the Corvette is going to be my favorite one. Now I did used to use the Green Flash Edition and the Emerald Storm Bugatti, and then obviously the Magma Edition. I think it's going to be the way the car actually feels when flying around turns and actually coming out of them, because I found this car to be an absolute blast to use. And those cars are going to be great in their own ways, but I just found the Corvette to be a lot more fun. I would say if you guys do have the Corvette, to definitely try out this car more and let me know what you guys think in the comments below, because I've been having an absolute blast, as I mentioned before, driving this car around. I do think the stability and handling of this vehicle, plus the amazing speed it has going in and out of turns, is going to give this thing a huge advantage in many of the races in the game. Even the longer ones, I did manage to beat my time in many of them, and I do think the overall speed of the Corvette is going to be a lot better than many of the hypercars as well. Now sure, the Bugattis might be a little bit faster, but I do think the fun factor of the Corvette is going to be all there when it comes to that. Now if you guys do choose to use different part sets on the vehicle that might end up affecting your time, personally I've been running a score breaker the entire time on this vehicle and really haven't had any issues. I even had times where I can't actually beat my time with the score breaker running a Nitro Chemist, which honestly makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway guys, let me know in the comments below, what is your favorite summit car in the game and why, because there's definitely a lot of them. Some might be better than others, and obviously some might actually perform better than others, but I would say every single car is going to be unique in their own way, and I've had lots of fun running many of the other summit cars, but for me the Corvette is definitely going to be my favorite overall summit vehicle in the entire game. I cannot wait to see which other cars come out in different seasons and all that in the future. But again, let me know what your favorite summit car is in the comments below, and thank you all so much for watching.